Okay, so hi everybody, we're going to be doing Fit in 30 today, and we're doing stretching, and I'm going to focus mainly on the hips. So we'll also be strengthening the hips. So if we think about the hip joint, it's a ball and socket joint. So we've got the head of the femur, the thigh bone coming into the socket of the pelvis there, and the hips, obviously sort of like in this area, we need to strengthen around this area with our core and our lower back. But the legs can move out to the side, they can go across the body, they can lift up, they can move backwards, and they can circle as well. So we're going to be thinking about all of that. So to warm the hip up, we're just going to start standing, and we're going to do some circles. So we're just going to circle across and round, across and round. All right, so you'll see me looking in 3 directions. I've got my phone here for the Instagram. I've got my laptop there for the YouTube, and then I've got a big monitor over here. All right, so I can actually see what's going on at a distance. So if you see me looking in different directions, that's what it's all about. So we're just going to circle around, take it across the body and round. So the muscles that go across this hip joint are big. Most of them are big muscles. You've got your glutes there, your abductors on the outside of your hips, your adductors on the inside of the hips, and then you've got the smaller ligaments coming up through the front of the hip there, the hip flexors. All right, so doing these kind of circles is going to warm up that area. So we'll just warm it up before we start to even think about stretching out. Let's do about 8 more of these. Four more. 2 more. Good, okay. And then we're going to hug one knee into the chest. Now, if your balance isn't great, stand next to the wall or whatever and hug it in there. Hugging it into the chest. So we get a bit of a stretch here now into the glute. Hug it in nice and strong. Bit of a standing glute stretch. And then we'll change sides. So hug the other knee into the chest. When you hug into the chest, try and hold on to the shin rather than the knee. You don't want to put pressure on the knee, so hug it in here. Stretching into that glute. And relax. Now we're going to take the feet nice and wide, super wide. Have your knees and your toes pointing forwards. We don't want the feet turning out. We want the knees and toes pointing forwards. And we're going to start to go side to side, bending one knee and then bending the other knee. Now let's have a little think about our core here for a moment. So as you're going side to side, get length from your pubic bone to your breastbone and pull your navel back towards your spine. So your lower abs, your core, your deep muscles, your corset, if you like, is nice and strong. And then see if you can come down a little bit lower. If you're not comfortable coming down this low, then stay where you were. All right, we need to keep the spine long. We need to keep the core engaged. And then we're going to hold it over onto the right-hand side. So you've got your right knee bent, your left leg straight. Now with your left foot, try and press down the outside edge of your left foot and try and keep a nice arch in your left foot. And then you'll get a nice adductor stretch. The adductors are the inside thighs. You can remember the adductors because they add the leg towards the midline of the body. That's the action of the adductors. The abductors are on the outside. Add when you bring in the leg to the midline of the body. So feel that stretch there in the abductors. And then take it over to the other side. So again, you've got to make sure to feel this stretch, you've got to keep the outside edge of the foot down. If you collapse in the arch of the foot, the knee drops in and there's no stretch. So you've got to make sure the outside edge of the foot is down. Pull this kneecap up as well and engage that quad there. And feel this nice adductor stretch on your inside thigh. And pause there. When we hold these stretches, when you're doing stretches at the beginning, you hold them for about 20 to 30 seconds. And then as you go through the class and you get more warm, all right, you can hold them for a lot longer. So if you came to the class cold, you'd start off, just holding them for about 20 seconds. If you've been for a walk and you're nice and warm anyway, then you can go straight into the deeper stretches. Come back to the center, bend the knees and just start to wiggle, walk the feet in and come up. Okay, we're going to warm the legs up a little bit more. We're going to go into a lunge here and pick the knee up. So let's all do the same side. Let's keep the left foot in front, step back with your right foot, bend the back knee, and then pick the right knee up. And again, step back onto the ball of the foot, bend the knees, and then pick it up. Now you've got to make sure the front knee sits above your ankle bone. We don't want the front knee coming forwards of the ankle bone. It will be bad for your knee or overload your knee. That's it, keep going. Make sure that front knee sits above the ankle bone. And again, strengthening the core. Let's do 2 more of these. And 1 more. And then we're going to stay down and we're going to drop to the knee. Point the toe away. And make sure that back knee is slightly back from the hip. Wiggle these front toes in position so your front knee sits above your ankle bone. And then melt into the hips here. So we feel a stretch here at the front of the right thigh and at the front of the hip. So this is your hip flexor stretch. And the hip flexors get very tight if you sit for long periods of time. So this is a nice stretch to do. It's called a runner's lunge if you sit for long periods of time. And then we're going to come back up and we'll swap the legs over. So keep the right foot in front and then lunge to knee. Lunge to knee. So again, just warming up, checking the alignment of your front knee. You always want your knees and toes pointing in the same direction. You always want to make sure your knee, your bent knee sits above your ankle bone. Okay, let's do 4 more. 4, 3, and 2. Stay down. Drop the left knee to the floor. Point the toe away. So if your knee's uncomfortable, put a bit of padding underneath it. Wiggle the front foot forwards. Lean into it a little bit so you get the stretch. But check the alignment of your front knee again. And you want to feel a stretch. It goes into the front of your left thigh, your quad, up into the hip flexor and the soleus. And then we're going to open up the front of that hip. Okay, so just keep breathing there. You can go a little deeper into it once it's released a little bit. Good, okay, we're going to come into a downward facing dog. So we're going to step back and send the hips high up towards the sky. We're going to release the heels down towards the floor. So stretching into the backs of your legs, your hamstrings and your calf muscles. And then from this downward facing dog, bring your body weight forwards into a plank. So your shoulders are now directly above your wrists. Pull your navel up. And then we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Now, if it only got to there, just kneel down and bring it forwards, okay? Still, if it only goes to there, don't worry about it, it's fine. So we're bringing the right foot to the outside of the right hand into this lunge. And then we're going to drop the left knee to the floor, come up onto your fingertips, and then open up by taking the right arm up towards the sky. So opening up the chest, right foot in front, right arm up, stretching into the hips, opening the chest. And then we'll come back again into down dog, stretching into the backs of the legs. Nice couple of deep breaths in and out. And then we'll step forwards into plank and the left foot to the left side of the left hand. Into that lunge, drop the right knee to the floor, point the toes away. Come to your fingertips. And then turn the left arm up towards the sky and open up the chest. So opening the hips, opening the whole body. And then we're going to bring the hands back and we'll go back into downward facing dog. And then from our downward facing dog, we're going to come into sitting. So it's up to you how you get there. We're just going to bring ourselves into sitting. Okay, so hopefully we're a little bit warmer around our hips. So we just want to sit for a moment and we're going to open up the hips. So we're going to put the soles of our feet together and then we're going to wiggle in, holding on to your feet there and see if you can lift up the heart, open your collarbone. As you breathe in, have a feeling of lifting up through the center of your body. And then as you exhale, you're going to open your feet like a book. You can use your elbows to kind of ease the knees towards the floor and relax forwards. So as you breathe in, lengthen your spine. And then as you breathe out, ease your knees down towards the floor, relaxing forwards. So again, breathing in, lengthening your spine, and then exhaling and releasing. So we're going to stay here for a little bit longer. So we've warmed these hips up, so now we can hold these stretches just a little bit longer. And remember, when you're stretching muscles, you don't want to force anything. If you start trying to push or force, the muscles will just contract, because what they're doing is they're concerned that you're going to damage your joints. So if you force something, they'll contract to protect the joints. You've got to get used to the feeling. As you breathe out, you've got to get used to the feeling of releasing the muscle rather than trying to force the knees open. So it's a feeling of letting go. Wherever you feel any tension in your body, as you breathe out, almost sighing, and then it's a feeling of letting go. Okay, and then we're going to come up. We're going to take the legs out, but we're going to bend the knees quite a bit. All right, we're going to bend the knees quite a bit. This is called turtle pose. And we're going to sit tall as we breathe in. As we exhale, we'll walk the hands forwards, and we'll try taking the hands underneath and holding the feet. Now, again, don't worry if you can't take the arms underneath. If you're here, that's okay. If you manage to get the hands there, that's fine. If you manage to get hold of the feet, well done, not to worry about it. You go wherever you like, and then you could try straightening the legs a little bit more. And relax again into your breathing. So notice the areas in your body that feel restricted or feel tight. And then every time you breathe out, you try and relax into that space. So wherever you may feel a little bit tight, try and relax into that space. We'll just stay here for another 10 seconds or so, trying to relax. And then we'll slowly release, and we'll come back up. Bring the soles of the feet back together again. And once more, inhale and lift, and then exhale and open out. Let's do 5 more breaths. Inhale and lift, and exhale and open out. So with stretches, you've got to be patient. You've got to be patient, and you've got to relax, and you must use your breathing. Especially, you know, if you're someone who's quite tight around your hips. I know how frustrating it can feel, and it can feel like you're not really getting anywhere with it, but you're the person that's got the most to gain. If you're tight around the hips, you're the person that's got the most to gain. If your knees go flat into the floor really easily, then, you know, you're obviously quite flexible anyway in the hips. Okay, let's come up. Let's bring the knees up with the hands, and let's take both legs out in front. Now, when you've got your legs out in front here, let's have a little think about this pelvis, because we're going to come into a forward bend in a moment. Now, when we come into forward bends, the pelvis here should rotate up and over the femur. So the head of the femur is about there, the thigh bone, and then you've got your pelvis sitting here. So when you come forwards, the pelvis should come up and over. Now, sometimes what happens, if you're a bit tight in the hamstrings, your tailbone tucks under, and it's difficult to come forwards, and then you end up like this when you come forwards, whereas you want this pelvis lifting up and over. So sometimes, if you find you sit more into your tailbone, you need to bend your knees. And then you'll be able to sit into your sitting bones, or the head of your femurs, and you'll be able to sit with a nice upright spine. So it's really important to bend the knees if you struggle in forward bends, because If you end up doing this in a forward bend, you will never improve your flexibility. You'll look like this forever and ever, amen. All right. So if you've got the knees bent, you will improve, and then gradually your legs will start to lengthen out. So really be aware of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide the left foot up, bring the left leg in, and the right leg stays out. So feel free at any point to bend this right knee. It's okay to bend it. Now, first of all, let's take a breath in, and as we exhale, we can gently ease that left knee down. So if it's up here somewhere, it just means your hip's a little bit tight. And don't force it, just gently release it down. As you breathe in, you elongate your spine always. As you exhale, gently ease that knee down. You can give it a little bit of a lengthening there. All right, so you can kind of massage your muscles. You can open that, you can warm them up with your hand as well. So lengthen it out here. And then we're going to inhale, take this left arm up. As we exhale, rotate towards your right thigh. Don't think about reaching your foot. Just bring the left hand to the floor. Now come forwards from your heart. Take another breath in, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, bring the right hand forwards. Don't think about reaching the foot. Come forwards from your heart. And keep relaxing into this breathing. As we come forwards, opening out our hip. You're going to stay here for another 30 seconds, exhaling and releasing. You can let your neck go. So it could be that you're in this position. Let me show it to you from this angle. It could be that you're here, and that's where you're relaxing forwards there. There's nothing wrong with that. What I don't want to see is this. Okay, nothing worse than seeing the shoulders up and the back grounding. You've got to get the lift up and over, so that might mean bending the knee. Now let the arms come back and the heart comes forwards. Good, let's slowly come up. Let's change legs. So let's bring the right foot in. And then we'll sit nice and tall. And then as we exhale, we'll ease that knee down towards the floor. So again, inhaling, sitting nice and tall, and then exhaling and easing that knee down to the floor. Now you probably find, and for most people this is quite common, that you've got one hip that's much more flexible than the other. All right, so what happens in that scenario is you've got to rein in the more flexible side. What you don't want to do is keep getting more flexible on one side and less flexible on the other. You've got to try and get it balanced. Otherwise you're going to end up with problems everywhere else. Whatever goes on here is going to be like a chain reaction affecting everything upwards, all right? So think about that. So if you know you can get one knee flat to the floor and the other one's up high, ease off on the more flexible side. Okay, let's inhale, let's take the right arm up. As we exhale, turn towards that left thigh and start to come forwards. But don't think about reaching the foot, just bring the hand down and think about bringing the heart forwards. Take another breath in. As you exhale, bring the left hand forwards and relax. So keep breathing, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, sending your heart forwards. So if you're in a situation where your knee is bent, as you exhale, you could try moving the hip back and the heel a little further forwards as you exhale. Let the breath take you deeper into the stretch. Let's hold here for another 30 seconds. Really relax. Try and let go. Remember, when you're doing these stretches, you're not trying to get anywhere. You're trying to release. If there's tension, you're trying too hard. All right? Don't try too hard. Okay, well done. Let's inhale and come up. Let's bring the legs back out in front. So we've been stretching, we've been opening the hips a little bit. Let's stretch here into the outside of the hips, the adductors and the glutes. So let's slide the left foot up again, but this time we're going to take the left foot across and come onto the side of the foot. Now, ideally what we want is the knees on top of one another here. Sit nice and tall. So holding on to that left foot, other fingertips on the floor, sit nice and tall with a nice open spine. Now try and be aware that your hip bones equally sitting into the earth. So what we're not doing is leaning over to the side here. And then we should feel perhaps a little stretch here for some of us on the outside of this left hip. The main thing is think of your pelvis and your spine like an anchor. You've got your pelvis and then you've got your spine. We need to keep that anchor. We need to keep the hip bones level and square. If it's comfortable, bring that leg round as well. And see if you can sit nice and tall. Now, if this makes you lean over to the side like this, don't bother bringing the other foot round. We need to keep the alignment. So we're now stretching into the outside of our hips. We're crossing the legs over, and then we want to sit nice and tall. And as you breathe out, imagine everything from the waist down relaxing. Just let it all relax. And we'll stay here for another 30 seconds, trying to let everything relax. Remember, we relax on an exhalation. So it's almost like you're sighing. It's a ah sound and letting go. We're not letting go of the upper body though. The upper body internally is strong. And then to come out of this, you need to release it slowly. So slowly release it. Take the legs out in front again. And this time we'll slide that right leg up and we'll cross it over and come onto the side of your foot. Try and stack your knees on top of one another as close as you can get. And then we'll come and sit nice and tall. So just get this feeling of level hips again, sitting nice and tall. And you might already start to feel a bit of a stretch here on the outside of this hip. Elongate through your spine. And then if it's feeling comfortable, you can bring the left leg round as well. Another thing that you can do if you struggle with this is you can sit on a couple of blocks or a cushion to raise your hips up. Sometimes by raising the hips up, it allows your knees to release a little bit more. So you can have a little practice with some props if you wanted to. And we'll just stay here for another 30 seconds. Let the shoulders relax. Have this internal strength and energy coming up through the core of your body, whilst everything around your spine, everything around this area releases. You want the sitting bones rooting and the spine rising. And then to come out of this, we're going to very, very slowly undo. So slowly undo. Good. We're going to come over onto our backs and we're going to warm up again around this hip. So we're lying down on our backs with our knees bent. So we've got our knees bent and we're lying on our backs. Make sure your shoulders are away from your ears. The back of your neck is long, so you're not creating tension in your neck. And then we're going to breathe as we move and flow through the hip joints. So as we exhale, we're going to bring the right knee into the chest. As we inhale, we're going to send the right foot to the sky and flex the foot. So to draw the toes towards you. Pull your navel to your spine to engage your core. And then as you exhale, slowly lower the straight leg to the floor. And then on your inhale, slide the leg back up. And then we do the other side. So as we exhale, we bring the left knee in over the chest. On the inhale, we send the left foot to the sky, but we flex the foot to stretch into the back of the leg there. Engage the core, exhale, lower the straight leg down to the floor. And then inhale, slide it back up. Let's do the right side. Exhale, the right knee in over the chest. Inhale, the foot to the sky. Exhale, lower the straight leg down to the floor, engaging the core. Inhale, back up. Other side. Exhale, knee into the chest. Inhale, foot to the sky. Exhale, lowering down. And inhale, sliding back up. One more time on each side. Exhale, knee in over the chest. Inhale, foot to the sky. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, sliding back up. One more time. Exhale, bring the knee in. Inhale, foot to the sky. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, sliding back up. Good. Okay, now we're going to do another stretch into the outside of the hip here. This is called a supine pigeon. stretch. Supine just means lying on your back. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross the right ankle over on top of that left thigh. Now, when you cross the ankle over on top of the left thigh, you want the contact to be just above the ankle there on that thigh. Okay, just above the ankle. And we want to keep this foot flexed, flexing the foot, knees, toes towards you. That's pointing the toes. Flexing is here. It takes care of your knee. All right. And then you're going to gently ease that right knee away from you. So we're stretching here on the outside of the hip, easing that right knee away. See how that feels. If it's super comfortable, you can hold underneath the back of the left leg and you can draw the legs in over the chest. If that's comfortable, you can hold on to the shin and draw the legs in over the chest. So we're getting this stretch now into the outside of the hip. This is like sitting cross-legged, but we're lying on our back doing it. So keep breathing here. As you exhale, draw in. As you inhale, you can release it slightly. So it rocks forwards and back. As you exhale, you draw the legs in. And then you inhale and release. Let's do a couple more of those. And one more. Okay, and then we'll release. Let's swap it over. So we'll cross the left leg over. Now, again, the point of contact wants to be just above the ankle there. Flex the foot to protect your knee here. And then start by gently easing the knee away. So that might be enough for some of you. That might be enough to give you a good old stretch here in the outside of the left hip. Again, remember what I said, you don't want to force anything. It should release and relax. That's the difference, releasing and relaxing. And then if it does feel okay, you go into a deeper stretch by holding onto the back of the thigh there and drawing the legs in here. See how that feels? You can release it and draw it in again. Or you can hold onto the shin there and draw it in here as well. And keep relaxing into the breathing. Every time you exhale, drawing the legs in over the chest. Inhaling and releasing. Exhaling, drawing the legs in over the chest. And inhaling and releasing. A couple more times. Exhaling. And inhaling. One last time. Exhale. And inhale. Good. Okay, let's release. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the soles of the feet together and we're going to let the knees drop out to the sides. Now, if you had some cushions, you could put some cushions underneath the thighs here and you could lie in this position. If you know you've got tight hips, you could lie in this position literally for 5 minutes if you had time, okay? So we're opening up the hips. The closer the heels are to your tailbone, the deeper the stretch. The further away they are, the less of a stretch. So it's up to you. Bring the heels close in. You can take your arms over your head, or you can take your arms out to the side, or you can get a right angle at your elbows. It's up to you. And just hang out here. Now, think about your lower back. There's going to be a little gap between your lower back and your mat. But have a feeling as you breathe out of your lower back dropping into that space below. So don't hold on to any tension in your lower back. Every time you breathe out now, really relax into your exhalation. We're going to hold this one for a minute. Right, so deep stretch. We're hopefully nice and warm now, so we can hang out here for a little bit longer. So we'll stay here for about a minute. Focusing on the exhale and the hips releasing. Let go. That's sometimes the difficult thing for people to do in some of these deeper stretches is to let go of all tension. Try and relax, letting go of the tension from your body. So as I said, if you know your hips are tight, you could lie in this position for quite a long time. We're just going to stay here for another 20 seconds. Okay, everybody, to come out of this one, use your arms to bring your knees back up. Bring the knees in over the chest. Do a few circles around there. and then roll over onto your side and come up. All right, let's just do one more. Let's swing the feet over to the right here, swing the feet over to the right, and then take a breath in, and as you exhale, come forwards over your left thigh and let your upper body relax. If you can't get over the thigh, then you just come to your fingertips here. Another option with this one is to slide that leg all the way back and come forwards. And then we're going to gently come back up. Let's sweep the feet over to the left. Elongate your spine as you breathe in. As you exhale, come over the other thigh. Go where you're comfortable. So it could be your fingertips. It could be your forearms. It could be all the way down. Hold it where you're comfortable. Don't force anything. See how it feels. If it's feeling good, you can take the other leg back. Try and relax. And then we'll slowly come up and we'll bring the back leg round and we'll just cross the legs and we're done. That's our 30 minutes. Well done, everyone. I'm just going to turn the YouTube off and then I'll stay on the Instagram, okay? Take care.